Black janitor blew bubbles to calm an autistic girl, not knowing her billionaire mom was watching. The Thorne Museum of Modern Art was a temple of silence and immaculate perfection. In the quiet, high-ceilinged halls, the only sound was the faint echo of expensive shoes on polished marble. This pristine environment was the domain of Marcus, a janitor. His job was to be invisible, to sanitize and polish without disturbing the hushed reverence of wealth. Marcus loved the late shift. It allowed him to work undisturbed, his mind free, his hands busy. But tonight, there was a complication. A private event had run late, and one very important guest remained, Seraphina Thorne, the owner of the museum, a tech magnate worth billions, known less for her warmth and more for her ruthless precision. She was accompanied by her 8-year-old daughter, Ilara. Ilara was a brilliant but profoundly autistic girl. She communicated with the world through sound and rhythm, and the sudden, unexpected noise, a champagne flute shattering on the marble, had been catastrophic. Ilara was in the middle of a meltdown. The sound of her crying was piercing, echoing off the glass and steel architecture. She was rocking violently, covering her ears, the high-pitched screams of distress tearing at the silence. Seraphina, usually so composed, was panicked. She tried everything, hushed words, gentle touches, her own security staff fumbling uselessly around them. Nothing worked. The noise just fed the fear. Marcus, pushing his cleaning cart down the service hallway, heard the commotion. He was under strict orders to stay clear of the family, especially during a private incident. Seraphina's chief of security, Mr. Vance, intercepted Marcus, his voice low and threatening. "Stay back, Marcus. This is sensitive. If you interfere, you're done. You understand." Marcus looked past the security guard, past the polished marble, and saw only the sheer, raw distress in the girl's eyes. He didn't see a billionaire's child, he saw a kid in pain. He stopped, reached into the deep pocket of his worn denim jacket, and pulled out a small, almost childish container, a bottle of bubble solution and a cheap plastic wand. He always carried it. He used to carry it for his own children when they were small, knowing a bubble could stop a storm. Ignoring Vance's furious whispers, Marcus slowly, quietly knelt about 20 feet away from Ilara. He was silent, unthreatening, and utterly focused. He opened the bottle, dipped the wand, and gently blew a single, perfect, iridescent sphere into the air. It drifted lazily above the priceless art, catching the gallery light. It was silent, floating, and mesmerizing. Ilara's screams didn't stop immediately, but the rocking slowed. Her eyes, wide and terrified, tracked the bubble. Marcus blew another. And another. Soon, the space above them was filled with a slow, quiet ballet of shimmering color. The silence that followed was heavy and profound. Ilara stopped crying. She lowered her hands and simply stared, transfixed by the quiet, perfect disintegration of the spheres. The visual stimulation was soothing, the silence of their creation a calming counterpoint to the noise that had terrified her. Seraphina Thorne, usually surrounded by a wall of impenetrable focus, watched Marcus with an intensity that bordered on surveillance. She hadn't said a word. She had been watching his hands, his posture, his deliberate, non-invasive distance. She watched as her daughter, who had rejected every form of help and comfort from her mother and her staff, was drawn out of her torment by a simple, silent gesture. Ilara slowly, hesitantly, reached out and gently touched a bubble as it landed on the marble. A small, relieved sound escaped her lips. Seraphina, her face wet with unshed tears of relief and exhaustion, finally spoke to Marcus. Her voice was not the icy tone of a CEO, but the fragile voice of a worried mother. You calmed her." Marcus smiled, a tired, genuine smile. "Sometimes, the quietest things are the loudest, ma'am." He stood up, picked up his bubble container, and turned to leave, his shift officially over. "Your old life ends tonight. I need a personal chief of staff who understands people, not just ledgers. Someone who can solve an impossible problem when everyone else is panicking. That is a skill I will pay infinitely for." She gestured toward the entire, vast, silent museum. "Effective immediately, your new title is Director of Public Relations for the Thorne Foundation. Your annual salary will be $500,000. Your primary duty, keeping Ilara calm and me grounded." Marcus was speechless. He was still holding the sticky bottle of bubble solution. "But, ma'am, I'm a janitor." I don't know anything about public relations. Seraphina walked past him, her momentum unstoppable. You know more about humanity than every highly paid executive in this building combined. My daughter just gave you the highest possible reference. Now, I suggest you buy a new suit. You start tomorrow. And get a proper bubble machine. I expect results. The billionaire mother, who had lost all hope in a crisis, walked away with her calm daughter, leaving the stunned former janitor holding the tools of his extraordinary promotion. The silence of the Thorne Museum was now a deafening testament to the spectacular power of pure, genuine kindness.